Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today for our CRF2015 preview. So first of all, my name's Carl Stevenson. I head up Datam's UK office and I look after sales, support and service for the UK and North American markets. Today I'm here to talk to you about COPA RF 2015 and some of the new and exciting features we have available for this version. First of all, I'm going to take you through some of the new common features, the new extended project format, the expandable project attributes, the possibilities to print project info, the new quick command access toolbar, the possibilities of revision control within the project manager, and some cross-project working. Secondly, I'm going to take you through some automatic role adjustment, automatic station sequences, enhanced role attributes, identical role grouping, and a particular favourite of mine, the new COPA RF Smart Role design. So I'm just going to take you directly into the demonstration of that now. So first of all, we'll talk about the new common features. We have complete compatibility with AutoCAD COPA 2016 Mechanical and Inventor 2016 with the new version, and of course this is backdated to AutoCAD 2012, I believe. With the new project manager, here you can see on the left hand side there are the possibilities to check out projects now from a network location. So formerly, if we were working down the wire to the network with slower network speeds, this can be overcome by bringing the project to the local machine and thus speeding up project access. We can also make projects our favourites now. We have enhanced control for our roll number in a position, as you can see here on the screen. And of course, when we have rolls which are then too narrow, you can see here it's orientated in this direction. If you wanted to see additional stations here, we can now, in our flare pattern or our rolls, we can highlight them here and also do this to give us this view. There seems to be some background noise, everyone. I apologise for that. One important feature to mention, you have the possibility of having a new zipping tool for reading and writing archive files, and we have new options here for the user environment. So formerly we had our settings here, which everyone is familiar with, and we now also have additional settings in here whereby we can specify the new roll number I mentioned, how our roles are displayed, and our hint messages here. Furthermore, under our projects, I should mention we have a new project format, the new 2015 version, and you can see here the new icon that represents that. Formerly, in COPA 2013, we would work station by station, and only one station would be loaded into the memory. With COPA RF 2015, the complete cold roll form project is loaded into the memory. This gives us faster access to all stations, as there's no reading and writing to the hard disk as there was previously. This gives us an additional COPA database undo and redo possibilities, and these can be now used extensively and undo much more than five last steps. We should also talk about the new project attributes. If we go here to our properties now, you can see we have new possibilities here. And in here you can see now, in addition to adding customer names and profile details, this is also where it will be the source of our information for our automatic roll drawings. By completing this information, this will complete our attributed blocks now. So of course more information can be taken from the project attributes. We can now also print this information. And you have a complete overview of the project here. We also have the new additional quick command access here. And formerly this was located up here next to the utilities. To give us quick access to that, if we want to view the entire flower, if we want to change our rolling direction here, we can do so. If we want to switch off the profile elements, switch to contours, we can do, and vice versa. If we want to activate our 2D, 3D view, we can do that here as well. We can fade in previous profiles or an additional station, for example. We can switch on and off info parts, fade in roles, switch roles off and on, and also the bore detail. So there's no need now to go to the previous Copra settings menu over here. It can all be controlled via this area. Now when we switch into roles, you'll see over here we also have a quick access toolbar for our favourite functions in role design. So if we modify the width of an entity, a diameter, insert radii, and so on. So all the tools we use a lot during role design we can access quite quickly through this menu. Furthermore, with regards to revision control, if we have a current live state now, here as you can see the dovetail profile, if I right click here I can now create a revision. So this becomes a read-only version of the project, and of course then what I can do is I can check the status of this. So I could make it say the live status by giving it a green light, and you can see here I have a red light for the red traffic light. What I'm able to do if I switch to these different projects, I can then make a comparison. So you can see here now if I right click, go to revisions, compare revision, I can now select the main dovetail profile and see the differences between the two. You can see here now in station 21 it's highlighted. It's detected a change. And here we can see the flanges of these bottom rolls, the differences here in the bottom axes and of course the opposing top rolls. In this revision you can see first of all they're much smaller diameter. So maybe as a result of our FEA change, for example, we noticed that we now needed to increase the flange diameter to give a greater lead of the profile into the station. This could be the end result. And if we click on roll and then select the roll, we get a preview. And you can see the previous one here. So if we have a project with a lot of changes, we can see what was changed and of course when it was changed during the design process. We have the possibility now for cross-project working. So if we have some features, typical features in our organisation with a known working flower pattern, we can then copy this information and these entities, etc., across into a new profile, a new shape, maybe a box section as opposed to a C section where the feature exists. So let me just sort of take you through that now. So if I've got a simple channel as I have here, and I have some features here. So first of all, let's consider a dovetail. So we could say here we would like to copy from entities 2 to 9. Actually, we have a symmetrical profile over there, so this will suffice, I think. And you'll also see now in spreadsheet the entity where I'm working is highlighted with blue arrows. So I'm going to copy this detail, return to my U channel, and then if I go here I can right click and paste profile flower. I have to identify where I'd like to paste that. So I'm going to paste the profile and the flower, and I'm going to go after entity 3. There you can see the details been added. Now, of course the unfolding data is in the wrong place, but I'll copy that in a second. We can now change our plane of unfolding because of course that's now at the end of entity 7. And now we redefine the reference line. Now I can take this unfolding information from here. I can copy that into here. And then of course remove this unfolding data. So now our dovetail feature taken from another project with a known working unfolding sequence is added to our channel. And of course we can begin to create roles. Another exciting tool I like, if we go to our C section I have here, we have automatic role adjustment possibilities. Now the way I consider this to work really is with in-code projects, or if we have a C section existing where we'd like to make it wider or maybe taller, for example. So if we just go into our roles here, you can see our station. I'll just move my toolbars around. So now let's imagine if we update our project properties here, our parameters, you can see this entity. I'm going to make it 64.75, so essentially 20 mil wider overall. And automatically the adaptation of roles tool is loaded. And you can see here some blue lines which are essentially our reference markers. And our reference markers indicate where we would like the role station to grow. So for example here you can see they're in the center, so if I apply to the current station, not all of the modifications are possible, that's okay. You can see here now the roles have moved out, and in this example this would be to allow for a spacer, for example, to be inserted. So in other words, we have a split role tool set, we might want to make it wider for a different variant. If I just undo that, Alternatively, I can change the reference line locations here. Going to place him there, and then on the right hand side, also here, and then I can apply these changes, and there you'll see the role itself is adjusted, so not the possibility to insert a spacer anymore, but the 12T1, 12T2, 12B2 and 12B3 were all updated to give a new width. And of course we can apply this change to all stations by activating that. If you move forward, previous one station, I think we'll see here this may be a clone roll possibility as well. And there you can see I just need to update the XREFs for indication of the screws. Of course I can switch the roll board back on. So you can very quickly and easily and automatically update an entire roll toolset to give you a product variant, again reducing the time taken to do that. Another possibility we now have here, if we just go to our flower, another one I like. If you want to show the forming sequence, I'm sure we're all familiar with this, but now we can fade in our tools as well. So we can see our entire flower and roll tool set. Of course you can see in these stations yet I didn't make the modifications to the width, but in these stations I did. Of course a great tool to making sure we have good alignment between stations. And now the software is doing this automatically for us. As I mentioned earlier, now we have advanced role attributes as well. So if I go to the attributes of a role, you'll see some of the possibilities now. You can see here new dialog, complete new dialog for that appears. I'll just close this automatic role adjustment. And now you can see on a per axis station, so for example if we go to the top role, you can see the defaults here. The borehole size, tolerances, the chamfers and so on. If you want to apply it to a specific bearing type. If you want it symmetrical, make it much easier to add this information now. Our keyway, our retaining rings for example, and any undercut. And of course for the bottom, we still have our possibilities to have default attributes for the entire roll set, and they can be defined as well, as opposed to attributes of an individual roll. Of course we can save and load roll attributes from a file. So it's a nice, comfortable, easy way to obtain an overview of attributes of the entire project as well. And of course now if you want to unfix the roll numbering name, we can just type here. You can see now it's become 12T2. Just going to change project now and talk to you about grouping identical roles, so clone roles essentially. So if we go to our dovetail profile, I'll just save these changes here. So we can see in this particular station that maybe 13T1, 13T3 are, I guess, almost identical there, and the same with the bottom roll flanges. So formally under roll utilities here, you would create the clone here in one pass, select the roll, and then automatically detect it. So if I just do that again, you can see I can get them with the 13T1 numbering. We also have the possibility now to do this in a table. So if we go to the roll grouping table here, you can see these rolls are grouped. Or we can imagine at the bottom rolls here as well. So 22T1 and T3 here. If we highlight them by holding down the shift key, right click and then I can group them, and then when I cancel this, as I can see, we can then save these changes. Okay, so it's selected all the roles which can be grouped automatically. We can see that. I'm going to try this time for this station in the bottom roles. So if we group them, of course we can show spaces if spaces could be grouped in the same way. And there you can see these two roles and they're grouped in this station as well. So they both become 21B3. And of course we can resolve those clones, we can return them to normal status by doing this. And finally, as I mentioned, my favourite part, we're going to talk about smart roles. Just going to switch project, have a simple channel here, as you saw earlier. Let's create just a plain channel. We'll create some simple axes now. And go to the first station. Again, I'm a novice, by the way, with smart roles, so let's hope I can get everything working right, perfect first time. So I'm just going to insert a station here, and then we create a bend sequence here. Okay. And you'll also see now on the top left hand corner, when changes to our station haven't been saved, we get a red disc here. Of course, to make that blue again, just like in spreadsheet, we can click that and then it will become blue. And we can see the changes have been saved. So now to some smart role functionality. So first of all, I'm going to create a role. So you can see here we have a new panel for that. So under smart roles, you go here to create role. So first of all, I select the start element and then the projection. So for the bottom role, I'm pulling the mouse down here. And then where I would like the role up to. Well, first of all, you can see this is now to the middle of the profile. Remember, it's a symmetrical profile. So I'll choose this position here. You can see the dialog is loaded over here on the left hand side, which I'm going to talk you through, and some of the possibilities of that. So the default outside radius, if I don't want any forming radii over there, I can tick this box. What happens when I hold down the control key, in other words, which become my reference here. So you can see parallel to the axes and perpendicular to the axes, angles and distance, and of course the distances that I'm defining, sort of 5mm increments, 1mm increments, radii, distances between entities and angles, for example. Have undo and redo possibilities down here, and the possibility to see the role in a table. And we're going to host some additional webinars just on this functionality, so don't worry about it too much right now. So with regards to this, you can see the software is asking me what would I like to do at the end of the roll. So first of all, I don't want to do anything, so none is in brackets, so I'm going to right click there. What do I like to do on the left hand side? Well, over here I want to extend this flange here, so you can see extend is E, so I type E for extend, and then up here you can see now I can pick a random. You can see the diameter indicated now, the width and the diameter radius. Okay, so this is the indication. Now if I hold down the control key, you can see it begins to snap now, and this is relevant to the start of the roll. And the axis, you can see the diameter changing in 1mm increments, and then my width changing, in other words parallel to the axis, in 5mm as I've defined here. And of course I can change this to start of axis, or I can say to the axis, for example, or the point of unfolding. So I'm just going to say start of axis here, and come back and hold down here. So now you can see my reference point over there is indicated in the bottom left hand corner as the start point of the axis. So I'm just going to draw this here, sort of. I'm happy with that. And then once I have this position, I can go then to O for orthogonal, and here I get the width. Again, hold down the control key and I get a reference to the start of the axis. So I'm going to do that right now. Another great tool, if you see some of the markers we get now, I'm happy, I don't want to do anything else, I can right click for a none. You can see my roll, I didn't get the diameter I wanted right now. If I want, I got an 85, it's a round number actually, I did. So what I can do now is I can edit the roll here and pick the roll. Could have done this just by the way, while I was in the command. So now I go to the corner and I can pick. When I pick this mark, you can see the line is divided into different elements. They're the midpoint, and where I pick on the line gives me different functionality. And as I said, we'll discuss this in these additional webinars. So I'm going to pick this one here, and then you can see the possibilities to right click to define a radius. So if I right click, I can then type in the radius. I'll give it a 3 for example here, and then over here I'm going to do this one too. So pick the radius and then right click to define, so let's say an 8 for example. So you can see now my flange has a radius, and remember I already chose to put 0 radius as the default outside radius, so that's already defined, so I don't need to delete anything there. Now I'm happy with that, I can exit. So let's talk about the top roll. So to create a top roll here for example, I'm going to pick the start element and the projection, and I want the roll to come across to here. On this side I don't need to do anything, so I right click, and then over here I want to extend. Okay, so we extend. Now what I normally do here is I'll right click and then pick a new, so I can actually pick directly onto the flange here, there. So I'm going to go to mate, so I'm going to use some of the commands we have in the software to give me a roll gap. So if I go to O now for orthogonal, and then pick the endpoint of here, you can see I now get a roll. I'm happy with that, so I don't need any additional information. I'm not going to extend, do a normal or free mod, I'm just going to do none. So now if we have here, you can see what my distance is defined as 1.5, which is of course my material thickness. So what's pretty cool now, if I pick here this area and now I hold down the control and Windows key, you can see the software begins to snap to itself. So there, 1.5, I get my roll gap defined, and of course now into the corner here, radius, right click, I'll add a 3, and then over here pick there and right click and add a 3. So we can see some very quick and easy tools there. Now a nice one, I didn't add a relief angle yet over here, so you can see my angles are defined as 1. It's exaggerated just to give you a good example right now. So if I pick here and then right click, you can see I have the possibility to rotate this angle now. So it's doing what it wants now. I can pick a position. If I hold down the control key, you can see then it begins to snap to 1 degree increment. So you can see there -3, 4, 5 and 6. So -1 relief. I'm going to pick that there. And now I'm happy. And essentially you can see the radius followed, and of course we have tangential transition over here as well. And of course now if we go to roll groups, mirror tool, top, bottom, and okay, you can see now we have that, and of course we can then join the rolls, and like so. And you can see the roll weight being updated here as well, and as well as the roll numbering and saver station. So that's create and roll with smart rolls really. I'm just going to show you some editing possibilities as well now, which I really like. So I'm just going to 2013 project here. I think this is a good example. So let's imagine here now we wanted to change this structure and some possibilities to do that. So now here I'm going to edit roll. Let's imagine we wanted to decrease or increase this flange here. So I now identify the roll, and again what I can do, you can see here the possibility the line is divided into 5 elements. Where I pick it gives me different functionality. So I'm going to go to this midpoint here, and now you can see I can change the diameter itself. So that's also updating the radii at each end. See, there's not one here. I'm going to add one in a second. So if I hold down the control key, you can see now the references come into place. If I hold down control and Windows, you can see it begins to do 1.5mm reference into itself. So I'm going to go for this position here, because the next one is too much, so we could go for here. And of course I go to this position, pick, right click, and now I can add a radius. And then you can see the radius is added. Now let's talk a little bit about that table I mentioned earlier. If I go to the table now, we can see all of our radii listed here. So they're numbered. And you can see here 7, 6, so 6 for example here is the one I just added is 3, so if I wanted to make that 5, I can update it. And the one here, well, there's not one here at number 4, so let's just say for example we wanted to add a 3mm radius, I can type it in. So we have the possibilities now to add radii around the profile in the table. So of course this could also be very quick, easy, comfortable and smooth to update all of our profile in one go. Of course I can then exit out of this, and then if I'm happy I can just right click to exit, and then you can see our updated roll. And I think yes, it's a clone, so you can see the roll on the opposite side also updated to the same as well. So that's just some of the functionality for 2015. Now, I hope I've done it justice today. What I would ask now, if anyone has any questions at all they'd like to ask with regards to what I've shown you today, please bear in mind we'll do some additional webinars on each function. A little bit more information on DataM's social side. You can follow us on Twitter at DataMSMS. All of our recent videos can be found on our YouTube channel. You can subscribe there to at DataM2012, and our company and employees are also listed on LinkedIn. So again, thank you for your attention everyone. Have a great day and evening depending on where you may be in the world. My name's Carl Stevenson. Thank you very much.